The Ghost in the Tree. In the rural village of Kallora, nestled between hills and thick forests, there stood an ancient tree in the center of the village square. Its bark was dark and cracked, its branches twisted into eerie shapes that seemed to reach out to the heavens. The villagers called it the Tree of Souls. The story behind it had been told for generations, whispered in hushed tones, and always with fear in their eyes. The tale went that the tree had been planted long ago by an old woman named Rani, a healer who had lived in the village. She was wise, with deep knowledge of herbs and roots, but some said she dabbled in darker magic too. Her ability to speak with the dead was the reason people came to her from far and wide, seeking guidance and answers from those who had passed on. But one day, she disappeared, leaving only a single, gnarled sapling behind. Soon after, strange things began to happen. At night, when the wind howled through the branches, the villagers swore they could hear voices. Faint whispers carried on the breeze, murmuring things that were just out of reach. The bravest among them, daring to look closely, claimed to see shadows moving within the tree, dark shapes twisting as though the spirits of the dead were trapped inside. No one dared approach the tree after sunset, because people believed Rani's spirit lived within, keeping the souls of the departed from crossing into the afterlife. If you stood too close at night, it was said you could hear your own name being called out, followed by the feeling of cold fingers brushing your neck, as if the tree itself was reaching out for you. Among the villagers was Siva, a normal Indian boy. His family was poor, living in a small cottage near the edge of the village. They didn't have much, but Siva was content with his life. He was curious, with an adventurous spirit that often got him into trouble. While the rest of the village feared the tree and its ghostly legends, Siva wasn't so easily convinced by old stories. He had no interest in the supernatural. He wanted to see for himself if the tree was truly haunted or if it was all just superstition. One crisp autumn evening, when the sky was bathed in twilight and the stars were just beginning to appear, Siva decided to take matters into his own hands. He slipped away from his family's house after supper, knowing they would never approve, and made his way to the village square. The air was thick with the scent of earth and pine as he walked, and the moon was nearly full, casting long shadows on the ground. As he reached the tree, the hair on the back of his neck prickled, but he ignored the uneasy feeling that washed over him. He was determined to face the ghost head-on. The tree stood tall and dark against the night sky, its twisted branches swaying in the wind. There was a strange, almost magnetic pull to it, as if the tree itself was alive, watching. Siva stepped closer, his boots crunching on the frosty ground. He stood beneath the tree, staring up at its gnarled limbs. For a moment, there was silence, nothing but the wind rustling through the leaves. Then, a faint whisper echoed in his ears.
Shiva.
He froze. It was his name, spoken softly and eerily, carried on the wind. His heart raced, but he pressed forward. The wind picked up, swirling around him, and the whispers grew louder, coming from all directions.
Shiva, come closer.
A chill ran through his spine, but his curiosity pushed him on. He took a deep breath and placed his hand against the rough bark of the tree. The instant his fingers made contact, he felt a jolt, as if the tree itself had a pulse, a heartbeat.
Shiva, why do you come?
It wasn't just a whisper anymore, but a voice, clear and full of sorrow.
Do you seek answers like the others? Do you wish to speak to the dead?
Siva's breath caught in his throat. He stepped back, heart pounding, but the voice seemed to grow stronger, filling the air around him.
You should leave, child. You do not belong here, boy. Not yet.
Siva shook his head, his heart racing. Who are you? What do you want with me? The voice hesitated for a moment, and then, from within the tree, a shadow began to form, something dark and shifting, like smoke. Slowly, it coalesced into the shape of an old woman, her face pale and tired, her hair long and tangled like the branches themselves. Her eyes glowed faintly, filled with centuries of grief.
I am Rani. I am the keeper of the souls. Those who speak with the dead. are never truly free, and those who come to the tree will be bound to it, like me.
Siva's eyes widened. He had heard the name before, but never so clearly, never so real. You are the one who planted the tree, Rani's shadowed figure nodded.
Yes, this tree was meant to protect, to help guide souls on their journey to the afterlife. But something went wrong. My own grief, my own attachment to the spirits I spoke with, it kept them here. It trapped me too.
Siva's mind raced, and he felt a deep sorrow for the woman before him, for the lost souls she had tried to save. How can I help you? He asked, his voice trembling.
You cannot help me, young one, but you can help those who come after. You must leave this place before it consumes you, before you too are trapped here, bound to the tree for eternity.
The wind howled again, and the ground seemed to tremble beneath Siva's feet. The tree groaned as if it was alive, its branches shaking in the wind. Rani's form flickered, the shadow growing fainter with each passing second. Siva took a step back, his heart thudding in his chest. He knew that if he didn't leave soon, he might never escape the tree's pull. As if sensing his fear, Rani's voice came again, softer now, almost like a whisper of reassurance.
Go, child. The souls will find peace when they are ready. But you must go on with your life. Live freely.
With one last glance at the dark shape that had once been Rani, Siva turned and ran. His feet pounded the earth, his breath coming in sharp gasps as he sprinted away from the tree. He didn't look back until he was safely at home, far away from the village square. The next day, the villagers noticed something strange. The tree had changed. Its branches, once twisted and dark, seemed lighter, the bark less cracked, as though a great burden had been lifted from it. The whispers were gone, and the wind was calm. Siva never spoke of that night to anyone, but he knew the truth. The Tree of Souls was not just a place of death, but of redemption. And sometimes, it took a living soul to help the dead find peace. From that day on, Siva kept his distance from the tree, though he often thought of Rani and the souls she had saved. He would walk by the square, but he would never stay because some mysteries were better left untouched, and some ghosts were best allowed to rest.